And welcome back to our discussion of the 2016 presidential campaign. I'm Ben Swan with our CBS 46 political analyst, Bill Nigut. Before we go, Bill, as we look ahead to the next few weeks, obviously the campaigns have been shifting. On the Democratic side, a lot of talk still that Joe Biden may jump in. The latest thing saying may not be till November.
Yeah, I mean, who knows when Joe Biden will make a decision on this, although there are now reports that he is leaning more and more towards getting into the race, but we won't know that until it comes right down to hearing him announce one way or the other. I do think this. He was on Colbert. He gave that very personal story about still mourning the loss of his son, not knowing if he has the energy for the race. He got attention a week earlier when he was here in Atlanta, saying much the same thing. I do think that he cannot go on any sort of public forum and talk that way again. The next time we hear from him, it's got to be I'm either in or out, because I think he's going to, at a certain point, run out of room for people to say, oh, okay, we'll wait for you, Joe. I think it's time for him to go underground for a while and then just announce.
And this is a guy who only pulled about 1% of the vote in Iowa the last time around.
Yeah,
he didn't do
that
well.
was
it was different, but at the same time,
different.
This is another guy, another candidate over which I suspect there would be an enthusiasm gap. He's not the most charismatic guy, and at the end of the day, probably pulls only from Clinton, will probably not hurt Bernie Sanders, who we were talking about a few minutes ago.
I think that's absolutely correct, which is why, of course, Hillary Clinton is
hoping
scared
that he does not get
in. How would you, if he gets into this race, and you're dealing with Beau Biden in the background of all this, the Clinton people have got to be wondering, how do I attack this guy and do it in a way that doesn't somehow cross over into this terrible personal tragedy that he suffered? It'd be an interesting challenge.
On the Republican side, Governor Rick Perry, former Texas governor, has dropped out of the race.
Yeah.
Who do you suspect will drop out before we hit to the next debate, which, by the way, is saying will not have a pre-show debate with the lower tier?
Right. I think they're all in, don't you? I mean, they've all got money. And now I'm talking about the top tier folks. I mean, who knows how long is Pataki in? Lindsey Graham seems determined to stay in because he wants to talk foreign policy. But at that top tier, they've all got money to stick with it. Why shouldn't they stay around till at least Iowa and New Hampshire?
Great insight. Thanks so much, Bill Nigut. And thanks so much for joining us for this edition of Public Affairs on Peach. We'd love you to join in on the conversation, or if you have a topic you'd like to see us cover, let us know. Send us an email to publicaffairs@cbs46.com, and be sure to like Public Affairs on Peach on Facebook. There we post our upcoming episodes and ask for your feedback. And that's it for this week's edition of Public Affairs on Peach. We'll see you back here next Saturday morning.